This week at Bungie, we prepare for Grandmaster. For years, we've been fighting to keep the last city and its people safe. Our latest off-world efforts against Keitel and her war council have been fruitful, but sometimes the danger is closer to home than you'd think. A cutscene went live on Wednesday and will appear to players when they re-log into Destiny after completing the Challenger Proving 4 quest. What happened will not be taken lightly. This week's TWAB covers Grandmaster Nightfalls, Stasis tuning, and the Festival of the Lost Armor Ornament voting results. We'll also recap last week's TWAB since there was no video last week. Grandmasters of the Universe, are you ready for a challenge? Starting March 16th, Grandmaster Nightfalls will become available. Strike difficulty will be set to 1350 power. All players must be at least 1325 to load into the strike, and everyone will be capped at 1325 power. That's what makes it difficult, folks. Everyone will be 1325 while in the GM Nightfall, so don't think you're not ready if you're not higher than that. Higher levels simply do not matter. Each strike will have a specific set of modifiers to ramp up the difficulty, so make sure to read these and prepare your team prior to hitting the launch button. Only one Grandmaster Nightfall will be available each week until April 20th, when you will be able to launch any and all GMs through a direct launch playlist. If you miss a week, the final 3 weeks of the season are your opportunity to catch up. This is also the first season to earn Adept weapons through a PvE activity. While Shadow Price, Palindrome, and the Swarm have each been available in lower difficulties, Adept versions will only be available through GMs. Destiny 2 Update 3.1.1 is next Tuesday, March 16th. The patch will fix many issues in the Fallen Saber Strike. The Strike boss currently will not spawn until all players are alive and present. Objective waypoint behavior will be improved, and the patch will fix some grammatical errors in player-directed text. A bug where a fire team member entering the area late could cause the Warsat falling visual effects to repeat. Zavala's dialogue in the first area could play multiple times, and a fallen energy shield could be seen sticking out of a wall. In Devil's Lair, Sepix Prime will now have a boss health bar, and the patch will fix issues with some floating environment objects, some monster spawn points looking like accessible doorways to players, an overload captain who could spawn with the wrong name, the Fallen Walker and Fallen Briggs could respawn after they were defeated, and physics were missing from a wall early in the strike, allowing players to get lost out of the environment. The patch fixes issues with armor as well. The Linear Actuator's exotic perk for the Titan Exotic Dune Marchers was not triggering properly. The perk now behaves as expected, triggering on each subsequent melee strike after an appropriate amount of sprint time. Font of Might no longer displays a generic damage boost string when its benefit is active. The Mantle of Battle Harmony and Omnioculus exotics were not displaying their flavor text. Omnioculus no longer grants melee energy when making only yourself invisible under some circumstances, and Cuirass of the Falling Star no longer grants an overshield when used with supers other than Thunder Crash. The patch fixes the following weapons issues. The flavor text wasn't appearing for several seasonal weapons. Added rumble to the end of Deadman's Tales Reload. Adjusted Risk Runner perk VFX that was causing epileptic issues. Reduced Arbalest aim assist, making it harder to hit headshots in Crucible. Set the Frenzy and Cranial Spike perks to use the correct buff icons. And fix Tiku's Divination's missing kill feed icon. After a few weeks of development and playtests, Bungie will also have a round of Stasis Balancing slated for March 23rd. The gameplay team at Bungie made some targeted changes in Stasis in Season 12 and have taken the last few weeks to analyze the results of those changes. They've identified some pain points of Stasis in PvP and are making further changes in the March 23rd patch. Note that the intent of these changes is to reduce some of the frustrations of fighting against Stasis subclasses in the Crucible while maintaining their power in PvE content wherever possible. Some of the changes required adjustments to the global behavior of some abilities. and they will continue to monitor stasis in the live game environment and make balancing changes as needed. The Hunter's Shatter Dive will now have a 4-second cooldown between activation, and damage resistance will be removed. The following Hunter changes will be made in Crucible only. Withering Blade damage against players will be decreased from 90 to 65 damage. Withering Blade slow stacks applied to players will be decreased from 60 to 40 stacks. And the target acquisition range of Withering Blade after it impacts a player will be decreased from 12 meters to 8 meters. The Titan's Glacial Quake AoE freeze upon Supercast has been removed against players only and will continue to freeze PvE enemies. The rest of the Titan changes are all global changes. Damage resistance while in Super will be decreased from 60% to 50%. The energy cost of using Shiver Strike while in Glacial Quake has been increased from 3% to 7% Super Energy. Using the combo of a Shiver Strike into a heavy slam attack will now cost the full super energy of both the Shiver Strike and the slam, whereas previously it only costed energy for the slam. And finally, the downwards velocity applied to Shiver Striking players when they are slowed has been increased to pull them out of the air more strongly. The Warlock is actually seeing a stasis buff. Winter's Wrath projectiles will now have improved tracking, with tracking strength now decaying from its max value of over 10 seconds instead of 2.2 seconds. The size of the super projectile's proximity detonation radius will be increased from 1.5 meters to 1.65 meters and will scale down to 40% over time. Penumbral blast damage in PvP will be decreased from 80 to 30 damage. An Ice Flare Bolt's bug would cause continuous target switching and will be fixed. Ice Flare Bolt's target acquisition range will be increased by 33%. Turning speed of Ice Flare Bolts has been increased so that they can more effectively hit nearby targets. This next nerf is something I'm very happy to see. Chaos Reach's super energy refund is being decreased when canceling Chaos Reach early. The Dusk Field Grenade is being nerfed in PvP. The force of its pull is being reduced, and the pull range is being reduced from 9.5 meters to 6 meters. The slow stacks applied to players by the grenade detonation are being reduced from 20 to 10 stacks, and the slow stacks applied to players on each tick of the grenade are being reduced from 10 to 5 stacks. The UI presentation of the slowed status will also be adjusted to increase readability when adding slow stack amounts that are fewer than 10. Crystal Shatter damage will be reduced in PvP. In PvP, the Whisper of Chains damage resistance bonus, while in Super, will be reduced from 25% to 5%. A bug will be fixed where players could continuously proc Whisper of Torment while standing inside an opponent's barricade. And the objective completion values for Crucible Stasis Fragment Quest will be significantly reduced. This past week, Bungie held their first ever community survey to determine which upcoming Festival of the Lost Ornament set would be available, movie monsters or dinosaurs. Over 200,000 votes were cast, but a clear winner emerged: dinosaurs. This armor set should become available next fall. Patch Prep next week brings another update to Destiny 2, but for some Guardians in the States, you'll also be setting your clocks forward an hour. Yes, this age-old tradition of losing an hour of sleep for reasons that people can't seem to remember anymore is here once again. Don't forget to set your clocks forward 1 hour on Sunday, March 14th. That means that Destiny's weekly reset will now be at 1 p.m. Eastern Time instead of noon. On Tuesday, March 16th, maintenance for updates 3.1.1 will begin. At 12:45 p.m. Eastern, all players will be removed and Destiny 2 will be brought offline for 15 minutes. At 1 p.m., Update 3.1.1 will be available across all platforms and regions, and players will be able to log back in. With this update, the Dune Marcher's Linear Actuator exotic perk will now properly trigger on melee strikes and chain to combatants after sprinting for the appropriate length of time. The Double Trouble Dreaming City Triumph will now be available. The Braytech transponder signal on Europa will no longer be removed if a player dies with 2/3 completed. And completing the Forfeit Shrine Ascendant Challenge will now grant progress towards the Ascendant Champion and Honed for Speed triumphs. Clan XP will be temporarily disabled on Tuesday, March 16th from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m., so don't collect any clan bounties until maintenance is complete. Presage scannables. This is important, folks. In the Presage mission, the scannables are on a weekly lockout. Players need to find and scan the first set of scannables in their entirety and complete the associated triumph before the next set of scannables become available upon the next weekly reset. Players who only partially complete the scannables for a given week will not have the next set of scannables available at weekly reset, so you must find them all this week. Trials of Osiris has been re-enabled and is now active as of reset on Friday, March 12th. Weekly known issues. Currently known issues include veteran dialogue not playing across multiple activities. Players can respawn in the Presage mission into areas that instantly kill them. The Frozen in Time ornament still says it's an exclusive item for some players who own it. The Warlock's Bleak Watcher Stasis turret does not shoot enemies at certain angles. And the Turbo Kicker's Hunter exotic ornament for Stompies can still be acquired with Bright Dust, even though a checkmark is shown on the icon. Note that it is intentional that the In It for Infamy Seasonal Challenge only counts major rank ups rather than sub ranks. If you are going for weekly challenges, folks, remember it is triple infamy, so you will want to do Gambit this week because you have to hit every single rank in order to complete it. I did not do a video for March 4th, so the following are key points from last week's TWAB. Bungie acknowledges that enemies are more teleporty than usual, and this is due to challenges in network traffic, as well as fixes for enemies that get stuck in areas where they can't be damaged. So teleporting allows them to become available for mission progress. Just the other day, I had a Cabal orange boss in an open space simply disappear as I was about to teach him who's boss. That is the result of this problem, and Bungie is working on it. Don't forget to log into your Prime Gaming page to claim this month's free rewards for Twitch Prime members. The link is in the description below. Don't forget to check the quest kiosk next to Katie in the tower for any abandoned or missing quests. My Adored Crucible ornament quest simply disappeared from my inventory, and I was able to find it just the other day in the kiosk. Progress was not lost. Folks, that's it for the TWAB. Let me know what you think about the changes coming up in the following weeks, and have a great week.